And we're going to get started in about 3 more minutes. But while we're doing that, go ahead and drop in where you're from, your state, your city, and some of your goals you're trying to accomplish through purchasing tax deeds. We have some people on here that want income properties. Okay. We have some people from LA. Anybody here outside of California? Drop it in the chat box. Let us know. The real purpose of this is I hope that everyone here, you either got an email or you were able to join our Facebook group. The Facebook group is Tax Deed Education and Tax Deed Investments. We're just building a real strong community there to be able to share a lot of the information on how to invest in tax deeds, how to make extra income, how to increase your wealth. And we'll get started in a couple more minutes, 2 more minutes. We have some people saying they want to keep it and pass it to their children, some rental properties. That's a big one. That's a really big one. Looking to expand investments. Okay. I really like the fact that we have a lot of like-minded people here in the group. We'll get started in 1 more minute. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Leverage, $1 Million Blueprint, because we certainly have a blueprint for you. And this is the free tax deed boot camp where we're going to show you process of obtaining tax deeds and how to make money through tax deeds. Again, as you join the group, please state tell us where you're from, your goal, what are your personal goals in accomplishing through purchasing tax deeds. Okay, without further ado, I am going to bring on the tax deed expert, Mica Coleman, and she is going to take it from here. Again, if you have any more questions, please drop it in the chat box and we're going to answer those questions for you along the way. I hope that you come with an open mind, an open notebook, and a pen, because we're going to be giving a lot of good information. And I'll also come into the middle of the presentation and let you know how you can become a part of our community, okay? And which is on Facebook. So without further ado, here is Mica Coleman.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate you taking out this time to join me. I'm not putting on my camera today because, as some of you guys probably know, I've had Corona, so I'm looking really rough today. So I'm just gonna go through this presentation and share the knowledge. But like I said, I appreciate you guys getting on today and starting this process of learning how to do tax deeds. Before we get started, I know you guys are gonna have some questions. I'm going to open it up for Q&A at the end. So if you have questions and I don't get able to, if I'm not able to answer them on this call, you can email me at info@taxlinkdreamteam.online. And then for some of you that are actively doing tax deeds and investments and you want to have a checklist, I will be giving away that free at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to get right into the presentation and tell you a little bit about myself. I don't know, some of you may know me and some of you may not, but my name is Mica Coleman. I've been investing in real estate for 17 years. And I was pretty much buying and selling all over the US. And I've bought and sold over $1 million in real estate. I'm a full-time real estate agent, so I was an investor as well as a realtor. And to give you a little insight about my journey, when I was investing in single family, I learned really quick that I became property rich and cash poor. And so when the market crashed in 2008, I pretty much lost everything. And I never knew what it was to like not have any money, not have good credit. So I literally had to start from ground zero. And with that being said, I had to revamp myself and reevaluate how I was going to rebuild my empire quicker and faster, because quite honestly, I wanted to retire by 40, and I'm 40 and I have not retired. So what resulted in that was my downfall. I wrote a book. It's called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Business Credit, on how to get access to more cash and capital. And I became the #1 best-selling author on Amazon in the venture capital section. And what I learned from business credit was it taught me not to use my personal credit and to use business credit to invest in real estate. So that is what started me on this journey in tax deeds. Now, if you're on this call, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the best time to learn about this, because this time next year, there are going to be some amazing deals out there if you're in a tax deed state. So I'm glad you're going to learn this before the market actually crashes in the real estate industry. So this is a perfect time to learn about a new investment niche. Now, when I first got started, I didn't have a plan or a system. All I knew was I wanted to make some more money, I wanted to work less, and I wanted to travel more. Matter of fact, most of my friends know my dream job is to work Tuesday through Thursday, 10 to 2. But unfortunately, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for over 17 years, and I find myself working all the time. But with this tax deed investing, I have found the best type of freedom I could ever ask for. So although I had a goal in mind when I was first getting started, I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know the right questions to ask. So oftentimes I would get discouraged. And in the beginning, I would just lose focus because I just really didn't, I just didn't really know where to begin. And the only time I really thought about tax deeds was when things weren't going right in my life. So what I discovered is I had some knowledge from, Facebook groups, looking at YouTube videos. And even when I even went to a seminar, but when I tried to piece all the information together to get started, it just didn't give me enough information on how to actually get started in this investment deed. Not only that, I was afraid to fail because I didn't have the money to lose. It was like, have you guys ever done that? Like you wanted to do something and you really didn't have a lot of knowledge and you have money, but you didn't have that type of money to lose? Well, that's where I was. I had very limited knowledge, and it kind of paralyzed me to move forward. So if you were like me, and you were trying to figure this whole tax deed investing thing out, I'm here to let you know that I've been there and I understand your pain and your frustration. But things didn't really change for me until I got a coach to guide me through the process. So that's why I'm on this call today, because I want to give you some basic tools as your coach today in order to jumpstart you to your tax deed career and buying your first tax deed. I'm going to give you some basic principles today so that you can get your first tax deed. So the solutions I'm going to provide today are, first is I want you to get clear on a simple goal. Now, that's the first thing you need to do, something you can acquire. The easier it is, the easier it'll be able for you to achieve it. For example, I wanted to do tax deeds because I wanted to pay for a vacation. Now, I normally vacation 3 or 4 times a year, so I knew that I was already going to go on vacation, but I used my goal for tax deed was to get a tax deed and triple my investment so that I can pay for a vacation free and clear. Matter of fact, and I was going to pay for my girlfriend too. So that, for one of my girlfriends, I'm not gay or nothing, but for one of my girlfriends, I was going to do a girls trip. And I was like, if I could get this tax deed, I'm going to invite one of my best friends and I'm going to pay for all expenses paid. So that was my goal at that time. So it's important for you to get clear on a goal. So when you're having one of those days, you keep your goals in mind to keep you going. Then I'm going to show you where to go to find the information on whatever county you want to invest in. After that, I'm going to show you the information you will need to contact, like the right person, the right questions to ask to get a list to purchase these properties free and clear. Now, personally, I like to go online and research the information and then go down to the county and talk to people. Unfortunately, during this time, though, we can't actually do that, but this is a great time to start doing it because you can't go down to the county. So guess what happens? The people at the county have to do all the work for you. So it's a really good time to do this because all you need to do is make a phone call and they'll actually go and do the work for you. So this is a really good time to do that. The only reason why I personally like to go down to counties is because I'm able to connect with people. And I actually met a lady that when I purchased my first tax deed, and we became really good friends. And now, you know, she gives me special treatment. I'll be like, can you give me that deed in 15 days instead of 30 days? So it's important to like build a relationship with these people in the tax county assessor's office. So now that I've told you what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide and explain the difference between tax deeds and tax liens, just in case you don't know. So whenever a homeowner doesn't pay their property taxes, the property is sold and auctioned off. Both tax deeds and tax liens provide cash growth opportunities. Now, let me break this down to you. Now, tax deeds allow you to get immediate access to the property. And there are two types of tax deeds. You have your straight tax deeds and your redeemable tax deeds. So straight tax deeds mean you get immediate possession of the property, whereas redeemable tax deeds mean you acquire the possession of the property after the redemption period. And now some of you guys may be wondering, what is a redemption period? Now, redemption periods vary from state to state. For example, in Texas, if a property is homesteaded, it's 2 years. If it's not homesteaded, the redemption period is 6 months. Now, this varies from state to state. I'm only talking about Texas just for the sake of this presentation. Now, tax liens is simply a security interest in the property, and they're short and long-term redemptions that have percentage interest rates. So you pretty much is just getting a piece of paper and the property is the collateral. Now, I personally like tax deeds only because I'm able to get access to that physical property and sell it for cash quickly. Now, this is a list of all the tax deed states. The red states are tax deed states. The yellow is redeemable tax deeds. And the blue states is hybrid tax deed states. And what hybrid simply means is that that state offers tax deeds and liens in the same state, but they vary with each county. And of course, all the green states are tax lien states. Once again, I always kind of like to reiterate this and say, this presentation is strictly on tax liens and not, on tax deeds and not tax liens. So does everybody see that? Is everybody from a tax deed state on this call? Anybody put any comments? Do we know? Okay. So we do have a few people that are in tax deed states. So now that we know which states are tax deed states, let me show you the 5 simple steps in researching a tax deed in your state and how you can purchase a tax deed free and clear. Now I'm going to get in the meat and the potatoes. I kind of go over that, you know, give you a little overview of what the meaning is. And now I'm just going to go into the meat and the potatoes of how you can actually research a property.
Okay, before we go any further, does anybody have any questions about what you just heard? If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask it really quick. If we don't have any questions, that means she did a good job, right? Of explaining everything. We don't have any questions yet? Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, we have one question. How do you sell after?
So how do you sell after? There's plenty of ways to do that for the sake of this conversation, because I like to keep it short and sweet. A lot of my students, how they're able to sell within 30 days is listing it with the realtor. So now I'm just going to go into the presentation on how I find these tax deeds. Step 1, you have to research the county you want to invest in. And what I mean by this, can you guys hear me? Oops. You guys can hear me, right? Okay. What I mean by this is that you need to locate at least 3 counties within your area that you can contact. Why you want to research the counties in your area? You want to do that because you want to find out what is closest to you and understand their rules so that you can apply the process to other counties. And by you doing this, you'll learn real quick that every county does their process a little bit different. Even though you're in the same state, each county has a different process. And by you doing this, in your due diligence, you're going to make money in your research. And how well you do your research is going to determine how much money you're going to make. And as a coach, I help and guide you through that process on asking the right questions when you're contacting the counties. The second thing is after you've contacted the county, you'll be able to find the number of the person you contact. So then you'll be able to locate the property list. Now, the property list is going to be the county that you actually choose. And so they're going to direct you to one of three places. It's either going to be a constable or sheriff's office, an attorney's office, or someone within the county. So that's where you're going to get the list, and they're going to tell you three of those places. Now, the list from one of these resources is a list of homeowners that are delinquent on their property taxes, and now their properties are going to be sold at an auction. So now there are two types of lists you have. You have an auction list that is given to the public, and then you have another list of properties that don't sell at the time of the auction, and then you could buy them with no competition and very cheap. Personally, that's where I get most of my properties, and that's what I teach the newbies and my new students. I teach them how to go after the properties, the over-the-counter tax deeds, because there's no competition, and you're not really stressed out at the auction. It's just like you'll know exactly how to do your numbers. And then step 3 is I'm going to show you how to research and vet the property. The first thing you need to do is to find out the retail value of that property, or if you want to do land. I personally am doing land these days because it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about appraisals or any of that stuff. It's pretty much straightforward. And what I mean by actual retail market value is what is it selling on the market. Once you determine that and you find what the minimum bid is, you want to make sure your minimum bid is going to be less than the retail value. And then you want to go look on it on Google, and then you want to do a drive-by of the property. Now, if the numbers make sense, you then can determine your maximum bid based on your exit strategy. Now, those are the first 3 steps that you need in actually locating the tax deed list and then researching and vetting. Now I'm about to walk you through the process and show you each step on how to do that. Okay, can everybody see this? Sometimes it doesn't do that. Okay, perfect. So this is a website where you can get all the different states. So just for the sake of this, you see this drop-down menu? These are all the states in the United States. Just for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to go to Texas because that's where I am. And because I moved from California to Texas, I didn't know what counties to go to. So you can click on this drop-down menu, and it gives you all the counties of Texas. And just for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to go to Dallas County. So I'm going to click on Dallas. Dallas was the first place I invested, but they were too high for me, for my budget, I should say. So you're going to scroll down, and then you see where it says assessors, collectors. Well, here's the phone number that you would contact, and you would ask you would call here, and you would ask them specific questions on how to get a property tax deed list. Now, there's several different questions that you can ask, because every county calls it a different thing. But I'm not going to go all into detail tax. I want to keep it short and simple. So now we're at Dallas, and I'm going to scroll down, and I just showed you. You see where it says this, it has the number. Remember I said they will direct you to one of 3 places? Well, just so happens that Texas, now I'm going to show you a list. This is a free list. Just so happened Texas is handled by an attorney's office. So this is an attorney's website. So now I'm going to go to the attorney's office website, and this is where we are. It's called Lindbergh, Goen, Blair, and Sampson. And now I'm going to type in, I'm going to do Tarrant County because this is where I invest most of my I do most of my investments in Tarrant County. Okay, here we are. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see this? Good. Now, as you guys can see, it says it's 363 properties. I'm going to sort by the minimum bid, and then I'm going to look for a property that has a low minimum bid with a high adjusted value. So you see right here where it says sort by, right now it has precinct and cell number. I'm going to do by minimum bid. And as you guys can see, I do this by the minimum bid because I want to show this to individuals that there is a price point for everyone. And as you can see, the lowest estimated minimum bid is $390. But as you guys can also see, the adjusted value right here is also $390. So I'm going to go scroll down and find a property that has an estimated bid but a higher adjusted value. So I'm just going to scroll down here. And I'm going to choose this one, Jackson Street, 4215 Jackson Street. As you guys can see, the estimated bid is $1,396, and the adjusted value is $5,000. Now, this adjusted value is what the county assesses the property for. 9 times out of 10, this property is valued a lot higher than what the adjusted value is. So I'm going to click on this property, and I'm going to click on the property details. And let's see if it's going to show me. So remember I said now that you have found the list, which is, this is the attorney's office, and now we found a property that has an estimated minimum bid with a higher adjusted value. So this property is worth something. So this is a property that I would target if I had like a $2,000 budget. So now I'm going to look on Google Maps. I'm going to click on here. Let's see if it's going to bring it up. And it brings up the property. So here it is. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is one thing. Some people ask me, well, what do you know? What about the inside? What do you know, how do I know it's, it's dilapidated, or if it even has plumbing? It really doesn't matter if you're gonna buy a property for $2,000 and it's worth $5,000, because 9 times out of 10, you could either double or triple your money without doing anything. So here's the property on Jackson Street. And so, you get to see that it's a building. Now, I always advise you to do the Google search first and then go and do a drive-by, because sometimes Google does not always update their, their website. So that's how you would be able to, what I call vet a property, is you would look at on Google and then you would do a drive-by. The next thing is, remember when I said determining your maximum bid? This is how you would determine your maximum bid, by the minimum price versus the retail value. Now remember, the adjusted value is the assessed value that the county gives you. But 9 times out of 10, it's about double this and sometimes triple this. Just really depends on what county. So now I'm going to go back to the presentation. Now, some of you guys may think there's a lot of competition at the auction. And as a newbie, it can be very intimidating, right? Or even scary. So I know my first few times I was nervous, I was scared. And not only that, I would be frustrated because I would do all this research and then the properties were canceled, meaning the owner would come that morning and pay their taxes. Or what would end up happening is the property that I was interested in went over my investing budget. And you're probably like, okay, why is she telling you all this? Well, I'm telling you this is because the first few times you go to the public auction, it's important not to get discouraged, because the money is really in the research. And you have to keep going until you find your deal. So I want to encourage you to keep going and take this information and run with it and keep doing this process until you get your goal. So I have a pop quiz for you guys. I'm just going to go back here. This is kind of going to be a little trick question for you guys. So I have a pop quiz. I want you guys to put in the chat box the lowest that you think I found a property. What's the cheapest you think I found a property on the tax deed? Put your comments in the box. I want some participation. And those that find the correct number I want you to direct instant private message Lorraine, and I'm going to give away a $25 Amazon gift card. So go ahead, put the number in, take a wild guess, and Lorraine, tell me if anyone does the right answer. And if they do, private message them to get their address. Now, because of my research and my persistence, I have found all kinds of great deals. Remember when I said do your due diligence with the counties around you so that you can go to other states? Well, let me show you what I found in Missouri. Did we get everybody's participation yet before I unveil what's the cheapest one I found?
Okay, we have $100. We've got $1 without going over someone that's closest to the number. We've got 2 at $100. Okay. Okay, I'm on mute. So we have 2 at $100. It's $102. So how are we gonna do it between?
I'll just both.
Okay.
You're on mute.
Okay, so we have all of our entries. This is for a $25 gift card for Amazon. Everybody enter their number. Okay, going once, going twice. All right.
Okay. For those that have guessed the right number, this is the reveal. This is the cheapest I have found a property, $102. So whoever got closest to that, private message Lorraine, our SAC admin, and we will be sending you the Amazon gift card to your address. So make sure you direct message Lorraine your address so that we can send that out to you. Now, because I invest all over the country with my students, I always find amazing deals. Here is a property that I recently found in Missouri for $102, and I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. And I'm going to show you how to do this really quick. The only reason why I'm showing you this slide is because I want you to know that this actually is happening in August. So if y'all want to go get this, you can, for those that are on this call. But here's a property that I recently found in Missouri for $102. Now you may be asking, why doesn't this person have $102? Well, there's many of reasons why a person may not pay. This person might even be dead. The great thing about this property is that there is no redemption period. So what does that mean? It means that if you buy this property today, you can sell it the moment you get the deed and you don't have to wait for any type of redemption. Now that I've shown you this, let me go into this county. And remember, the money is in the research. So I'm just gonna go to this county and I'll click on it. And I'm gonna do this locator number, which is something I go into detail in my course, but I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna find the locator number and click it. And this is also important to acclimate yourself for different counties. Like I said, I help people all over my students, and I had a student just so happened to be in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm gonna click on this property, and it just shows you the person's name, they and their mailing address. So they're not even, they may or may not be dead. I don't know, they just not paying their taxes. So you click right here. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because I wanted to show you another tool. The first one I showed you was Texas. Now this is Missouri. And so now I'm just gonna scroll down, and this says the taxes are due. This is relevant. This is effective July 1st, 2020. Okay, so you guys could go buy this if you wanted to right now for $102. You see that? And it says this property will be offered for sale in August tax sale for the third and final time. So what that means is that this property has went to the auction. This is on the strike-off list or the over-counter list. You can actually buy this property right now if you wanted to for $102. Now, I did not do my due diligence, but I just wanted to show you this to let you know that there's a budget for everyone in this business. So I just want to recap to you. This is the one for Missouri. And let me see if I can go back. And this is the free tax deed list for, let me just go back, Tarrant County. By the way, I didn't show you this, but these are pretty much all the counties in Texas. And I also want to tell you this too, that before knowledge is power, and actually having the tools and the information is so important, because I paid someone $150 a month for this list right here, and it's free. So you have to be careful with certain places and different softwares, because they'll try to sell you this stuff and you can actually get it for free. So I just given you 2 resources on where you could find a list in Texas, and then I just showed you where you can find a resource for Missouri, which was right here on this website. So those are 2 different parts. Now, let me just recap what we just discovered. Now, oops, sorry. Here we go. So I've showed you how to research the counties to invest. That was the first website. Where to get a tax deed list, how to research and vet a property, and I'll be giving away a detailed checklist on that process, because there's more to it to vetting a property. I just kind of went over the basics of the maximum bid. And at the end, I'll share that in our Facebook group, and I'll share the link in the chat box at the end. And hold on, I think I have questions.
Okay, we're gonna pause. Do we have any questions? That's a lot of good information. Do we have any questions right now? I'm gonna read them and we're gonna answer them. We have a question on the floor. It says, if someone pays their taxes during the redemption period, do you get your money back?
I love that. I was just on a call today and they could not believe that in this type of investment is a win-win situation. So to answer your question, yes. And some of you might know me. That's the main reason why I picked up from California and moved to Texas, because Texas is the only state that offers 25% return on your investment. So to answer your question, if you buy a tax deed and the person comes back and redeem it, they have to pay you 25% plus what was owed plus penalties. So I don't know where you can go and get 25% return on your money in 6 months or even like 2 months, because they have a 6-month period. So you could buy the tax deed in 1 month, and then the next week or the next month, they'll have to pay you your money back plus 25% return.
Okay, we have one more question. Someone lives in California. Can I do tax deeds in Texas and other states fairly easy?
That's kind of a loaded question. Yes, and it just really depends. I would suggest that you have boots on the ground, but I did try to do that from California. It just was, for me, I did not understand Texas and the counties. And so there were so many good deals. I just thought that there was something wrong with it, because, I was coming from California and I was like, there's no way you could buy a quarter of an acre for $250. I'm like, what's wrong with this? Is it in a landfill? So to answer your question, yes, you can, but once again, if I can't stress this enough, you have to do your due diligence. Now, I know some people are like Investor Gadget and they could do a lot of things. I'm not that good at research, so I'm more of a hands-on. So I like to touch and feel things. But if you're a good researcher, you can definitely do it from the comforts of your home in California. So now that you have determined that it's important to know your exit strategy, we're going to talk about that now. So now that we've vetted the property, you now know how to determine your maximum bid price to get a property free and clear, because we just covered that. Now I want to talk about your exit strategy. It's important to know your exit strategy, and there's a reason this is important, because this will also determine your maximum bid. For example, you have fix and flips, wholesaling, buy and hold, and advertising. Now, each one of these have their own set of risks and pros and cons. And I don't want to go into detail about that, because I like to keep this call short and sweet. But each one of these are a good exit strategy. It just depends on what your level of risk is and how much funds you have. But this is what I will tell you. I prefer to do wholesaling all day long. And this is the method I teach my students, with the contracts, the questions, and the marketing to go with it. So I teach them wholesaling in the beginning, because at the end of the day, most people are wanting to get access to cash more quickly. So I always teach them to do the wholesaling process. and I show them how to market and you know, answer the right questions, and I give them the contracts to do that, because you can actually sell a property real quick. Now, I know a lot of you may be on this call about how I made $70,000 in a month. Now, I purchased this vacant lot for $7,500, and I knew this was the price because I knew this was the price because I purchased it over the counter. So that's another thing that I do with my students. I really, especially if you're a newbie, I have you target over the counter sales first before you go to the auction. And so I purchased this over the counter, and then I knew this lot was worth at the lowest $40,000. But let me back up a little bit, because prior to me purchasing this lot, I had another lot that I was selling, and people kept asking me about, you know, mobile homes and manufactured homes and modular homes, and if this lot was zoned for, you know, manufactured homes. And honestly, I didn't know. I mean, you know, this is actually my first time. I'm in Texas, you know, I buy dilapidated properties, but I'm like, you know, I never really, you know, purchased land. So I was getting tons and tons of calls about, you know, modular homes and mobile homes. So that led me to go do my research, right? So I did my research, and I went to go look at some modular homes, and you know, I was talking to the salesperson, and some of you guys that are on my Instagram probably saw this a couple of weeks ago, and I'll probably post it in the Facebook group, but I went to go look at modular homes just so that I could get educated and do my research, so next time I sell a lot or a piece of land, you know, I would have the knowledge for, you know, manufactured or mobile homes and if it's zoned. So here I am, you know, looking at the, you know, mobile homes and talking to the salesperson. And he said to me, do you have land if you purchase one of those? And I said, of course I do. Matter of fact, I have a lot of them. And so what ended up happening was the lot that I brought for $7,500, the manufactured home builder wrote me a check for $70,000. It was that easy. And so the irony of this story is I didn't plan on selling it to him. You know, I was just going to do my research. But guess what happened? In my research process, I was able to make one of the best deals I've made by far. I didn't have to hire a real estate agent. I didn't have to do any marketing. I didn't have to do anything. So I can't stress this enough that the money is really made in the research. So if you don't get anything out of today, remember, the better your research, the more money you'll make. Now, some of you may be saying to yourself, man, I wish I had $7,500 to invest, but I really don't have that type of budget right now to make, you know, to buy something for $7,500 and make $70,000. But what if I told you you can make this type of money without even investing a dime? Because at the end of the day, everyone doesn't have $7,500 of capital to invest, right? So I've been so passionate about helping others and building a community for investors. I'm going to share with you how you can pretty much double dip on this whole process. And that's why I'm pretty much giving this information away, because I am so blessed. Like, remember I told you guys how you make friends with the county people and they will put you up on game. So we were having a conversation, and she was telling me about a whole nother process because I'm buying all these tax deeds from her. So how would you guys like to do, how would you like to get paid just going to an auction? Not buying anything, no purchase required, no credit needed, and no cash required. How many of you guys would like to make some money just doing that? I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'm gonna tell you a story because I'm working on one right now. It's called Overage. Now, some of you may have heard of this, but I'm gonna explain to you how this process works. For those of you that still want to purchase tax deeds, you can still go to the auction with your list, with the process I just showed you, and every time someone bids over the minimum asking price, whatever the sold price is, just write it down. And then you could go home, do your research on that property, and contact the owner. Now, that is the cheap and easy way of how you can learn how to purchase tax deeds at the auction by just watching and making money. So I'm gonna go over this example for you so that you can understand a little bit more clearly. So say, for example, the minimum bid on a property is $5,000, right? Now the amount owed on the minimum bid is what's normally owed to the county. Anything after that is considered tax overage or excess of funds. So most of the time, homeowners don't know that have lost their property at the tax deed auction, they don't know that they have access to those funds. So for the sake of this illustration, this property's minimum bid is $5,000, but let's just say it sells for $50,000. There is a $45,000 overage. What that means is you, as an investor and a third party, can go and collect those funds and get paid a finder's fee for that $45,000. Now, I don't know about you, but if you were to call someone today, right now, with people losing their jobs and not having any extra money, and you tell them you want to write them a check for $25,000 because they have access funds that are owed to them and you're going to collect it for them and they don't have to pay you a dime, how many of them are going to say no? I don't know too many people be like, you know, I don't have to pay nothing and you just going to go get the money for me and you're not going to charge me anything. I don't have to do anything. Most people are going to be like, sure. So what you do as an investor, because you're already going to be buying tax deeds, so this is how you're double dipping on the process. If something's overbidded, you already have another bullet in your arsenal where you can actually go and help people collect the overage of the excess funds. So this is what you would do. You would just charge a finder's fee, and if you can cut them a check, you would just pretty much say, you know what, I'm gonna make $20,000 on this, and I'm gonna give you $25,000, and it just really depends on your finder's fee. Like right now, I'm working on one where the overage is $136,000. Now I told them up front my finder's fee is 50%, but I said you don't have to pay me anything. I'm going to do all the work. I'm going to do all the due diligence. And at the end of the day, all I need you to do is to cooperate. It's all legal. And if I can get you $68,000, would you be willing to work with me? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you a $68,000 check, and I'm going to take $68,000 for myself. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know too many people that's going to walk away from a deal like that. As a matter of fact, this owner is excited. She was crying. And you know what? It motivated me more because I love helping people. And she was just telling me how her husband just lost her job. And, you know, they didn't know if they were going to be able to stay in their apartment. And I'm about to change somebody's life just because lack of knowledge and me doing research. Now, that's concludes this whole presentation, but I do not want you to forget, this call is really about tax deeds, but this is also for those that are starting out with nothing. So if you want to know more about the overage process, join my Facebook group, because I am going to be posting next week a boot camp on the overage process. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group, please go there. Just type in tax deed education and tax deed investing. I'll probably have that overage part sometime in the middle of next week, but I will post when we'll be doing that sometime in the beginning of next week. And like I promised before, I'm gonna put this in the, oh, shoot, no. I'm gonna put in the chat box the free checklist where you can get the free checklist. And I'm just gonna open it up for a Q&A.
Okay. Thank you so much for all that great information. I hope that this was helpful to anybody. We need to hear from you. Please unmute yourself or put in the chat box if this was helpful, if you learned something new, or if you have, I'm gonna get your questions, Janet, or if you have any questions, let us know. This is supposed to be a community where we communicate on different strategies. And I do have some questions for you. The first question is, do you need to be a real estate agent to be third party?
No, you do not.
Next question is, what do you need to do to what do you need to show to the county to get that overage money?
Absolutely, pretty much a contract with the owner in every county. Like, so what I love about this process, it's almost the same process of what I showed you. It's just a little bit different. So once again, every county is different. And so some of them, let me do this disclaimer too. Some counties will not allow you to do third parties. Because people are making money, like businesses, like I got my first 70,000, so I believe that I could make a 70,000. So that's why I told these people, no, I'm doing 50%, 68,000. I don't know anybody that's going to give you that without doing any work. And that county in particular, all it is a simple form. I mean, literally a one-page form. That's it. So I don't know if you know how to read and fill out a piece of paper, that's all you need. But however, I will be disclosing a contract that you would need to do so that you won't get circumvented. And I also do a script on telling you so that you don't tell them all the information, because what rookies will do is they'll tell them where the funds are and then they'll just circumvent you to go get it. So you don't want to give them all the information. You just want to let them know that there's funds out there for them to collect.
Okay, and the last question about overage is, how would you introduce yourself to the old owner that you found the overage for?
I would pretty much say, hey, my name is, so my LLC is MASTERMIND, and I say I help individuals collect unclaimed funds that are owed to them, and I like to help them in whatever that overage is, and I've already put my fee in. I was like, I would like to help you get, $50,000. I won't charge you anything unless I'm able to get the money. You don't have to pay any extra fees or anything. Would you be open to working with me to get you $50,000?
Okay. Are there any more questions out there? And again, all of this information, detailed boot camp. If you like this boot camp, we're going to have an overage boot camp next Wednesday, which is July 8th, same time, same place. And to keep up with our brand or to get information on that Zoom call for the overage boot camp, we're going to post it in the Facebook group. The Facebook group is listed on this slide, so please join our community. It's Tax Deed Education and Tax Deed Investment. We will post it there, and we'll also send out another email to everyone that is on our mailing list. But do we have any more questions, comments? How do you form the contract with the owner?
That is something that I offer in my program.
Yes, anybody that wants to be added to the mailing list, please join. I will take your email address here, but also if you join our group on Facebook, we'll give you all the information you need to be able to get on our mailing list. We also have a YouTube page. All these links on this slide. We have a YouTube page where you can watch videos and playbacks of some past information that we have. So if you have any more questions, please leave them in the chat box.
I said, this was very helpful. I'm going to look.
Did you mute?
I'll mute it.
Okay, I'm gonna just go back on. I just want to thank everybody for showing up, and I hope that you could take this information and utilize it for your benefit. Like I said, I'm so, it's just one of my callings to just empower and educate people. And I mean, just with this little information, you are able to do things. I do offer coaching, but like I said, I'm not going to be selling on this call, but if you guys wanted to know more about that, you can book an appointment with me and we could talk about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to stay on for a few more minutes in case anybody has any last questions, or if you want to drop your email in the chat box. And you can also unmute yourself and ask as well.
Janet's Dream Homes. That was so good.
And you recorded it?
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted to do it on me. Now I just gotta do it. I gotta practice that so that I can do it on my own.
It's still recording. I think I'll just stop the